Hi Leo, let me ask you something real. What if today's message was the sign you've been waiting for? Not a prediction. Not a coincidence. But a wake-up call from the universe itself, one that you were meant to hear at this exact moment. This is not your usual horoscope reading. This is an urgent warning, and it comes wrapped in energy that feels too big, too serious, and too aligned with your soul's current path to be ignored. So before we dive deep, take a breath with me. Because what you're about to hear may confirm everything you've been sensing beneath the surface. Leo, the universe doesn't just whisper, it roars. And right now, it's speaking directly to you. You didn't just stumble across this video. You were led here. Maybe you've been feeling restless. Maybe the energy has been intense lately, like something is shifting but you can't quite name it. Maybe you've been seeing repeating numbers, 111, 555, or 911. Maybe you've had dreams that feel prophetic, or signs you brushed off because they seemed too surreal. Well, let me tell you, they weren't random. This is the moment you've been spiritually prepared for. In Buddhist wisdom, nothing arises without cause. Every encounter, every moment, every sign is born of deep karmic timing. So let me say this clearly, you are not here by accident. You're tuning into this message because something within you called for it. And now the universe is answering. Here at Eternal Mindfulness, I want to thank you for being part of this sacred circle. Every like, every comment, every moment you spend here helps this space grow, not just in numbers, but in energy, in alignment, in depth. So thank you. Truly. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for showing up. You are the reason this message has power. And trust me, my radiant Leo, you'll want to stay until the very end of today's reading. Because what's about to be revealed? It's not just insight. It's a divine confirmation. A cosmic mirror showing you the next phase of your journey. One filled with purpose, bold decisions, and yes, transformation that may not come gently, but will come just in time. Now, tell me, Leo, what brought you here today? What stirred your heart enough to press play on this video? Was it a whisper? A flash of intuition? A longing you haven't spoken out loud? If you feel called, drop your angel number in the comments, or simply write, "I'm ready." That simple act sends a clear signal to the universe. You're listening. You're awake. You're open. Don't go anywhere. Because in just a moment, I'll walk you through exactly what's coming next, and why your light, your courage, and your choices will shape what happens from here. Let's begin. There are moments in life when the air itself feels different, as if something is stirring behind the scenes, rearranging pieces we didn't even realize were part of a larger design. That's the energy you've walked into now, Leo. What's unfolding isn't random, and it certainly isn't subtle. You're standing at the edge of a threshold, and the Ace of Wands, paired powerfully with the Ace of Pentacles, isn't just knocking, it's burning through the door with quiet insistence. This combination is potent. One represents a spark, the ignition of desire, motivation, and bold intention. The other is about form, something tangible, grounded, and real. When they arrive together, it's not about fleeting inspiration or vague promise. It's about real-world transformation that starts from within but demands presence and participation in the physical world. This isn't just about hoping something will change. It's about recognizing that change has already begun, and that you are the one it's asking to move. The astrology supports this momentum. The energies activating your 10th and 6th houses aren't here to play small. These areas in your birth chart speak to purpose and daily devotion. They ask, what legacy are you building? How are you showing up, not just in the spotlight, but in the everyday moments no one sees? This is your cosmic performance review, not in the sense of judgment, but of gentle redirection. You're being asked to remember what truly matters, and to elevate your contribution. Your calling may be evolving, or returning with a renewed sense of clarity. Either way, it's time. Now here's something subtle but important. This moment may come wrapped in what seems like ordinary events, a job offer, a new connection, a chance to lead, or even a setback that feels inconvenient at first. But the external form is only a shell. Inside is the opportunity your soul has been quietly preparing for. This is why it matters to pay attention, not just to what's happening, but how it makes you feel. The invitation is often quiet, but unmistakable to those who have learned to listen. When it comes to the law of attraction, many misunderstand it as simple wish-making. But true alignment isn't passive. It's about clarity. What you give focus to begins to organize itself in your reality. Your thoughts are not just echoes in the mind, they are requests. The more energy you give to a particular frequency, fear or faith, doubt or direction, the more that frequency arranges the external world to reflect it. So now, when you feel this stirring within you, the hesitation, the sense that something is coming, know that it's not just a feeling. It's a response. Life is responding to the call you may not have realized you made. In teachings passed down quietly over time, there is the understanding that action must follow insight. Knowing isn't enough. When the path becomes clear, even in part, it is a form of responsibility to take the next step. Waiting for the whole journey to be revealed before you begin only delays the beauty of unfolding. Just as a flower doesn't wait to see the entire bloom before reaching for the sun, neither should you wait for perfection before stepping into your next chapter. There's no need to rush, but there is every reason to respond. If you've been waiting for the right moment, Leo, you're already in it. What matters now is how you choose to meet it. The opportunity ahead is not about what you can get, it's about who you can become by saying yes. Not just once, but repeatedly. That is how you meet your fate. Not with grand gestures, but with presence, awareness, and a willingness to walk toward what calls your name. And something is calling now. You can feel it, can't you? It's fascinating how the heart knows long before the mind catches up. You may not have all the answers yet, but somewhere deep inside, you've already made the decision, you're ready. Ready to face what's next. Ready to feel something fully. Ready to stop waiting for the perfect time, and finally step into the life that's been quietly forming behind the scenes. This is the energy of the Judgment card paired with the calm emotional mastery of the King of Cups, a sacred intersection of clarity and courage. Whereas the previous energy invited you to notice the signs and open your awareness, this moment goes further. It calls you to respond. Not in haste or fear, but with centered presence. This is not a call to run, it's a call to rise. Life is offering you a mirror, and what it reflects back now is the version of yourself that's been forged through every moment of resilience, grace, and inner work you've ever done. That version isn't someone you're waiting to become. It's someone you already are, and judgment arrives to help you remember. Often, what we avoid isn't the challenge itself, but the power we sense within it. A decision we've postponed, a conversation we've dodged, a path we've secretly yearned for but never dared to walk. These things begin to knock louder when the time is right. And today, that knocking isn't just at the door, it's vibrating through your bones. You might feel it as restlessness, a quiet discomfort, or even a burst of unexpected emotion. These are not signs of weakness. They are signals that you're standing on the threshold of something meaningful. Something that demands your full self to engage. The King of Cups brings in balance here. He doesn't act from impulse, he acts from emotional intelligence, from grounded awareness. He teaches us that deep feeling is not chaos, it's wisdom. And when paired with judgment, he asks you, can you trust your own readiness, even if you still feel uncertain? Can you honor the part of you that has matured enough to recognize what matters, and what no longer does? This moment is not about external validation. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about acknowledging your own internal readiness and taking responsibility for what you do with it. There's a quiet truth nestled in ancient teachings that says, when the call arrives, don't ask why now, ask how you can meet it with an open heart. Avoiding it only delays what will, eventually, return in stronger form. If you've been caught in the loop of indecision, here's something gentle but firm to consider. Clarity is often found through movement, not thinking. A step forward creates its own momentum. A yes, whispered in your chest begins to shift everything. And even the smallest shift today can place you on a completely different path 6 months from now. So I'll ask you again, Leo, what is it that you've been circling around? What truth have you felt rising within you, even as you tried to quiet it? What would happen if today was the day you stopped holding back? You don't need to leap. You don't need to rush. But you do need to listen. If you've been feeling that inner nudge, the sense that life is calling you to something deeper, something bolder, I invite you to write in the comments right now, I choose to move forward. Not for me. Not even for the universe. But for you. For the version of yourself that's already walking ahead, waiting for you to catch up. Because ready or not, the door is open. And you're the only one who can walk through it. Sometimes balance doesn't arrive with trumpets and clarity, it tiptoes in quietly, disguised as stillness. And in that stillness, Leo, it becomes easy to assume that the storm has passed, that the weight has lifted for good. But temperance paired with the 10 of Cups reminds us that peace is not always the end of the story. It's often the breath before something even more significant. You may feel that things are finally aligning, that conversations are softer, connections more fluid, that your routines are gently harmonizing. But this harmony is not the final destination. It's the pause between chapters, a quiet recalibration before the next step asks more of you. What you're feeling now is like the hush before sunrise, a moment saturated with possibility, but also a moment that can lull you into comfort if you're not present. The 10 of Cups often speaks to emotional fulfillment, connection, family, and deep contentment. But when it appears alongside temperance, it encourages mindfulness. Not suspicion, not fear, but deepened awareness. Are you seeing things clearly? Or are you interpreting peace as permanence? Astrologically, the current alignment between Saturn and Neptune acts like a lens cleaning your inner vision. Saturn, the great teacher, invites accountability and structure, while Neptune dissolves illusions and softens boundaries. Together, they offer a rare opportunity to build something that's not only idealistic, but real. And that means gently asking yourself, is what I'm experiencing now rooted in honesty? Is it sustainable? Or am I simply enjoying the relief of no longer being in chaos, and mistaking that for long-term peace? There's a teaching, quietly passed down through lived experience, that warns of becoming attached to transient ease. It suggests that true balance isn't static, it's responsive. That means your sense of harmony must move with life, not against it. When things align, it's not time to rest forever, it's time to prepare, to integrate, to become strong within the calm. Because nothing external stays the same. It's not meant to. And the more gracefully you allow things to flow without clinging, the more equipped you are to remain steady when the waters shift again. This doesn't mean joy isn't real. The Ten of Cups wants you to feel it. The love. The softness. The beautiful alignment in your relationships. The quiet moments that make you exhale and think, yes, this is what I wanted. You deserve those moments. But the deeper message here is that those moments are also practice. Practice in presence. Practice in discernment. Practice in not taking this chapter for granted. Think of your current life like a garden that has just entered bloom. The seeds you've planted have sprouted, and now you're surrounded by signs of growth. But now is not the time to walk away. It's the time to tend to what's blossoming with even greater care, because this season is preparing you for harvest, and what comes after that. And just like any seasoned gardener knows, a garden that looks peaceful is often one that's being quietly prepared for its next transformation. If there's one gentle caution here, Leo, it's to resist slipping into autopilot. This isn't a passive moment, it's an active one in disguise. This is where clarity and patience work hand in hand. Where joy and vigilance coexist. Where you hold the lightness of gratitude in one hand, and the steadiness of preparation in the other. So take this time seriously, even as you enjoy it. Allow yourself to feel the love around you, the progress you've made, the small miracles unfolding in plain sight. But don't fall asleep in the comfort. Stay awake, stay aware, and stay willing to adjust as new truths emerge. You're being shaped by this peace, not coddled by it. And the better you embrace this balance now, the more prepared you'll be when life lovingly calls you forward again. Not everything that's hidden is meant to remain in the shadows forever. Just like the tide shifts under the moonlight, truth has a rhythm, it rises quietly, then all at once. And Leo, you're standing at the moment where that tide turns. What once felt murky or uncertain is preparing to come into view. The moon paired with the Knight of Swords brings a sudden clarity, not always gentle, but always necessary. It's that moment when you finally see something that's been there all along, just beneath the surface, waiting for you to be ready enough to handle it. This revelation may come through an unexpected conversation, a realization in solitude, or even through something as ordinary as a change in routine that suddenly feels significant. You might find yourself recognizing a truth about a relationship, a job, or even your own emotional patterns that you've outgrown. And while this can feel disorienting at first, it's actually a form of deep alignment. Seeing clearly isn't always comfortable, but it is always a gift. In astrology, the moon governs not only illusion but instinct. It represents what lives beneath the conscious mind, the habits, fears, and desires that quietly shape our actions. When this lunar energy is activated in a reading, especially when paired with a bold card like the Knight of Swords, it suggests that you're not just becoming aware of something, you're being invited to act on it. The Knight doesn't hesitate. He doesn't second guess. His sword cuts through fog and confusion, clearing the way for truth to stand on solid ground. This energy isn't asking you to rush, but it is encouraging you to be honest with yourself, first and foremost. Sometimes the truth that shakes us most is the one we've been silently carrying inside. Maybe you've been pretending something feels okay when deep down it doesn't. Maybe you've convinced yourself you're not ready when, in fact, you are. Or maybe you've held back from a decision out of fear that once the truth is spoken, everything might change. And you're right, it might. But not all change is chaos. Some change is the beginning of liberation. This is where the teachings of presence become essential. When things begin to shift and clarity arrives, the natural tendency is to resist, to grasp for the old version of the story, to retreat into comfort zones already crumbling. But wisdom lives in your ability to witness what's unfolding without reacting in panic. There is a practice of asking the right question instead of demanding a fast answer. What do I need to understand right now? What is this truth here to teach me? What becomes possible when I stop pretending not to know? Remember, the law of attraction isn't just about manifesting what you want. It's about clearing space for what truly belongs. And that clearing often begins with truth. The moment you allow what's real to rise to the surface, even if it's messy or complex, you release the energy you've been using to suppress it. That energy can now return to you, in the form of clarity, courage, and the ability to choose your next step freely. You are not meant to carry false stories forward. They become heavier the longer you hold them. And while the moon may whisper gently at first, the night will make sure you hear the message loud and clear. It may not come in the form you expect, but it will come with precision. Like the sound of a bell in the dark, it will ring through everything false, and leave only what is true. So stay open. Stay alert. And above all, stay kind with yourself. You're not behind. You're not lost. You're simply being invited into deeper awareness, so you can meet life with both feet on the ground and eyes wide open. Some moments feel quieter than others, not because nothing is happening, but because something essential is settling into place. This is the energy of the hermit paired with the Nine of Cups, a deep exhale after a long, inward journey. You may not realize it yet, but you've already done the hardest part. The searching, the questioning, the waiting, the unraveling of old layers that no longer fit. You've faced your own thoughts without distraction, learned to sit with silence, and somewhere in that stillness, a truth emerged. Your desires were never outside of you. They've been within you all along, waiting for you to become the person who could fully hold them. This pairing doesn't promise quick fixes or grand rewards falling from the sky. It offers something far more powerful: alignment. The Nine of Cups is often called the wish card, but it's not about making a wish and hoping it arrives. It's about becoming so deeply in tune with what truly matters that your life naturally begins to reflect it. And yet, even with that alignment, there's a choice. Will you move forward and receive, or will you freeze just before the moment arrives? It's a strange paradox of growth. The closer we get to what we've asked for, the louder fear can become. Doubt may whisper, is this really for me? What if I'm not ready? What if it doesn't last? But this is where the hermit reminds us, you already have the light you need. The lantern he carries is lit not by answers, but by awareness. He walks carefully, not because he's unsure, but because he understands the importance of each step. The Nine of Cups is the reward for that journey, not given, but earned through presence and patience. This is also where timing becomes sacred. Not all delays are obstacles, but some hesitations do close doors that were once open. When the energy aligns and life begins to respond, holding back out of fear or overthinking can create distance between you and what's meant for you. It's like standing at the edge of a bridge you've built with your own hands, only to second-guess whether it will hold. But what if the bridge was never the test? What if trusting yourself to walk across it is? Here's something worth remembering. Fulfillment doesn't come from guarantees. It comes from participation. From choosing not just to dream, but to act. From saying yes, again and again, even when the outcome isn't clear. In practices that guide the inner path, there is a quiet understanding. When the moment arrives, hesitation can be its own form of resistance. To delay is to deny. Not out of punishment, but because life is fluid. Opportunities rise and fall like breath. To meet them, you must be present when they come. So if you felt that the tide is turning, if synchronicities have been showing up, if you sense that something is aligning even though you can't explain how or why, don't retreat now. The clarity you gained during your time alone was not for reflection only. It was preparation. Now, the only thing left to do is choose. Will you say yes to what you've prayed for? Will you walk through the door that's opening just for you? If your answer is yes, if you feel even the slightest nudge to move forward, I invite you to mark this moment. Leave a fire emoji in the comments, or write, I choose to keep going. Not because you need permission, but because intention is a powerful force. And this, Leo, is your moment of alignment. Let it begin with a choice. And now, here we are, standing at the edge of everything we've uncovered together. From the very first signs that whispered change was coming, to the inner nudges, revelations, and awakenings that unfolded layer by layer. It all led to this moment. A moment that isn't about prediction or fate, but about choice. Because as much as the universe offers guidance, it never overrides your free will. The question isn't whether you're meant for more. The real question is, are you willing to step toward it, even if you don't have all the answers yet? This journey has invited you to listen more deeply, feel more honestly, and act more courageously. You've learned that clarity doesn't always come in loud declarations, it often comes in quiet knowing. You've seen how hesitation can be a form of resistance, and how balance is not about standing still, but about being flexible and aware in every step. You felt the pulse of your own heart asking you to stop waiting, and start becoming. And perhaps now you see that what you've been waiting for was never outside of you. it was waiting for you to become ready to receive it. So I'll ask you again, what will you do with this moment? Will you hold on to the insight and let it slip into memory? Or will you take one small step, today, to integrate it, to live it, to embody what you've learned? What does moving forward look like for you right now? Maybe it's a decision you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a conversation you know needs to happen. Maybe it's simply choosing yourself with more consistency. You don't need to know every detail of the future. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing. Willing to say yes to the version of yourself that already knows what to do next. Willing to trust that even a shaky step is still a step. Willing to believe that the life you've been envisioning is not some distant dream, but a reality waiting on the other side of your participation. And if something in today's message touched your heart, if even a single sentence made you pause and think, please let me know. I want to hear from you. What part of this reading resonated most deeply with where you are in your life right now? Drop it in the comments. Leave a lion face emoji if you've heard the call and are choosing to say yes to it. Or simply write, I've heard the call. Let this be your signal to the universe. Let it be your first step forward. I also want to take a heartfelt moment to say thank you. Thank you for your presence here. Every like, every comment, every subscription, it's more than just numbers. It's energy. It's connection. It's how we build this space called eternal mindfulness, where transformation is not just talked about, it's lived, together. So if you found value in this journey, please consider subscribing, liking this video, and sharing it with someone else who might need a nudge of clarity today. You never know whose life you'll touch simply by spreading light. And as we close this chapter, I leave you with this gentle reminder. You are more powerful than you've been told. You are more ready than you feel. And the road ahead is already making space for your arrival. Say yes, Leo. The rest will meet you there.